5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening. Oh, look at this. I tell you what, I don't know what's wrong with this silly damn system these days. There I am, nice and large, pop a Viagra in. I did a show the other day, or yesterday in fact, and I did the whole show and I was behind an image. Some said it's the best I've ever looked. Those people are no longer in the group. But good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello, wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. It's happened. It's like, the way I could describe it is that I knew one day that the kids would grow up and leave home. But when it happens, it still gets to you. That's what it's like. Jamie Vardy is leaving Leicester City. I've got a special guest today. I've got Locks in from Blue Tinted Glasses, the second best Leicester chat. Sorry, Locks, I couldn't resist it, mate. I owed you that one. Jack is in. Locks is in from Blue Tinted Glasses. Jack from The Final Whistle, and special guest tonight, Ian Stringer is joining us, who has followed obviously a lot of Jamie's career. Let's get the show on the road. Guys, good evening. How are we all doing? First of all, I'll come to you, Ian. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you, sir?
Yeah, pleasure. I'm good. You okay?
Yeah, well, I'm full of I like to call man flu. So, basically I'm on death's door, if truth be known. Yeah. Locks, from, like I said, the second best Leicester City channel out there. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, it's a strange day, isn't it? Like you said, we knew it was coming eventually, and here it is.
Yeah, I know he's not the second best. We're all the best. It was just that I owed him that one. And Jack, how are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. A bit more depressed since the relegation. Obviously, the same with like the Jamie Vardy news now. Obviously, it was inevitable that it would happen one day. We've not prepared ourselves for it. And it's like a marriage in it, it lasts so long, but then it always ends in the end. And obviously that's how Jamie Vardy's career now is obviously ending at Leicester at the end of the season. So yeah, it's one that's come very much a surprise, but maybe not to some.
I hope your partner can't listen to this. Every marriage ends in a divorce. I mean, mine certainly did. I don't know whether yours is going to. I'd maybe check the spare room tonight, mate.
Yeah, I might have to check the cardboard box outside to see if I can stay there. But yeah, we'll see.
Exactly. Ian, let me come to you first. I mean, you were there, weren't you, when he signed a young lad with £1 million from Fleetwood Town. It's got to be the best £1 million any club's ever spent on any player, hasn't it?
I think it's... he's the greatest player to ever play for the football club. He will always be the greatest player to ever play for the football club. Is it the best £1 million investment ever? I don't know. Riyadh at 450 grand wasn't a bad signing, was he? Mark Albrighton as a freebie wasn't bad. Robert Huth coming into that side for the money that he did wasn't bad, but he is I don't think we need to particularly discuss value, do we? Because he's the greatest of all time for the Foxes, and the £1 million for Fleetwood. What we've all got to remember as well, of course, is that there were a lot of raised eyebrows at the time when he did come to Leicester for £1 million. A lot of people thought, hang about, this kid's he's a non-league footballer coming from non-league to Leicester City in the Championship, who had aspirations of Premier League football at the time. It's a gamble, and it's a gamble that didn't always look like it was going to pay off, but my goodness me, has it?
Indeed. I mean, Locks, as we said there, it nearly didn't work out. He needed an arm round his shoulder from Kun Vichai, rest in peace. Otherwise, he could have ended up being a holiday rep in Ibiza.
Yeah, and I think Pearson and Shakespeare, didn't they? They played a massive part in turning it around. I think he loved to drink. He loved a good drink. Anyone who's read his book will know about his Skittle vodka habit. And I think I read that his injuries and things like that. They were taking longer than they should have to recover. And Shaky and Pearson kind of pulled him out of that. And you talk now about the best footballers in the world, how elite they are off the pitch as well, with kind of diets and things like that. It's not always been the case with Vardy when you think of the Red Bulls and the omelettes, but he has managed to keep himself, fit and fresh for all these years. 38 years old and still scoring goals in the Premier League is incredible. And I think that's probably why he hasn't retired, because there is still more from him. Whether it's in the Premier League or not, I'm not sure. But there's options out there. The MLS, the Championship, maybe. Who knows? Como, I think he took a trip to Como last year, so he could go there. Who knows? But yeah, he's an incredible character. The personality of the guy is immense. If we're talking about, we call him the GOAT, which he is. But if you're talking on pure talent, you could probably name some others that are better. Riyad Mahrez maybe, but the overall kind of package of talent, personality, and I think the most important, loyalty. All these players that came and left, and he stuck around, and that is why he will. That is why he gets the name the GOAT.
Was Jack? Was your eyebrows raised?
What when we signed him?
Yes.
Yeah, like Ian said, it was a gamble. It's a gamble when you sign any player from any league, to be honest. They didn't really know much about him. He obviously did well at Fleetwood, didn't he, when he was there? But then Nigel Pearson, he could have gone out on loan. He said he wanted to go out on loan when he was at Leicester when he first signed, because he just felt like it wasn't working. But then Nigel Pearson were like, yeah, well, we don't want to get rid of you, to be honest. We actually want you to develop and actually work out, and he did. He scored that first goal at, was it Torquay away in the Cup? And then obviously he scored against Blackburn with a shaved head and that. And yeah, that was the start of Jamie Vardy, He was this real player who a lot of pace, a lot about him. He could score goals, and it was the question of, can he up it from the Conference to the Championship? Is he good enough to do so? And it took him a while to sort of sink in at Leicester, to get himself grounded and that. But then the following season, after he signed, I thought it was fantastic. He started to get more rhythm about him. He's followed on in his success that he's had and that. And yeah, he's become the ultimate shithouse in football, hasn't he? Let's be honest. And yeah, he's a proven goal scorer. He's the best finisher the club's probably ever seen, to be honest. And like I say, the all-time great, and he rightfully is.
Yeah, Ian, I mean, I've been critical of him this season, and it's not necessarily been his fault. There's a lot of problems this season, not just the lack of goals. Do you think he went on a season too long? Have I frozen?
I think you're fine on my end. Let's play musical statues, Chris. Who's
a question?
Can you hear me, Ian?
Who's a question to?
Sorry, Ian. Sorry, I thought I said Ian. I do apologise.
I beg your pardon. I didn't hear you. Sorry. Did he go on a season too long? Oh goodness. Has he earned that right? He probably has. Has he earned the right and the opportunity to have another go in the Premier League? I think he probably has. I think there's a commercial discussion to have in there, isn't there? If you want to have that, we can have that if you want. But I think for his legacy, no. If it went well, I think for his legacy, yes. If it didn't go well, it's one of those you can't have it all ways. You can't be part of the most incredible sports story ever and then have a final go and think, oh, we could write another chapter here, and it go wrong and get the ump about it. That's just football. You can't. What is it? Run with the fox and hunt with the hound. You can't do both. So I think he probably earned the right to. It's backfired because, as you suggested in the question, I don't think there's enough quality, and I think Vardys is done. I think Vardys as a force at that level is done, but it was worth another go, because if it paid off, then it was worth that go. And I understand why the club did it for nostalgia. I understand why the club rolled the dice with him for him to possibly be able to do it. I think that they probably overstretched the finances a little bit, but that's a deal that you've got to do. And I don't think we'd take it all back, would we, for one season where it went badly? I think in 13 seasons, is it, he said? Yeah. I think 13 seasons, if we're going to put this down as a bad one, the promotion season, he wasn't the greatest escape season. He actually didn't. I think he scored against Man United, and then it took him months and months to score again, didn't it? So obviously then the goal against West Brom and the rest's history away. So I wouldn't swap it. I wouldn't suggest that he went on too long. I think he earned the right to have another go. It's backfired, but he will go out a hero, and at some stage there will be a statue in the city of Leicester or the stadium of Jamie Vardy, because there will never, ever, I promise you now, there will never be better. We can't go back and watch Arthur Rowley, because we can't. Our grandchildren will say, do you remember watching Jamie Vardy? So take in the next few games, because you will never, ever, ever see better.
It's going to be a sad game against Ipswich, isn't it, Lox? I've got a thing here. I mean, is that how it should be, or should we do something special for him?
Well, we had the tifo, didn't we, the last home game the last game last season, because we were kind of in limbo. We didn't know whether he would be staying or going. So they did the tifo anyway, and that was really, really nice. But now we know for sure that, come the last game of the season, that is it. And I'm sure, the UFS guys and things like that, they'll organise something. But it adds something different now to the last 4 or 5 games, the last few games of the season, because up until this morning, we had nothing really to look forward to. These last few games, they were completely meaningless, other than maybe focusing on the youth. But I think it will now be a celebration of Jamie Vardy. That is what the remaining few games will be. We're hearing the manager and stuff talk about, right, we need to end this season, to put us in good stead for next year. But the full focus, and I think Rude even said it today, the full focus now is Jamie Vardy, the celebration of his time at Leicester. And if he can get another couple goals, along the way, maybe a win or two, who knows, that would be a really nice way to end it. But as everybody's saying, I think it is hindsight. When you asked, did he go on a year too long? I think it is hindsight. If he kept us up, if he stayed up this season and then he left, we'd all be saying, what a way to end. But it's not gone that way. So, it's a shame. Yeah.
Jack, I mean, do you think this is why it's been announced now rather than at the end of the season, so that we can see him off? And I jokingly said earlier on today, that come on Ipswich, if you're already down by the time we play each other, let Jamie get a couple of goals just to round off the 200.
Yeah, I think it's come at the right time. It's the right time for him to have these next 5 games with the fans and that, so they can show their appreciation to him. He can have a Vardy party finally, and he can celebrate going out. It's like Ian said, a hero. The guy deserves a lot. I don't think legend is the word you can use. You've got to lose a lot more than that. There's not a word to describe him. This is the thing, and he's relatively very good at what he does, and I think the opposition fans in the next 5 games are going to be very much they'll dedicate it as well in applauding him and that for his career and that, and because he goes down as one of the Premier League's greatest ever strikers. You know, people look at Alan Shearer and Harry Kane and that, but they'll be talking about Jamie Vardy for bloody years upon years, you know, even grandchildren and things like that. But yeah, we've got to celebrate in style. We've got to give him the proper send-off that he deserves, because you don't know where he's going to go next, whether it's the MLS or Wrexham's been rumoured, Sheffield Wednesday or wherever. But, you know, it's got to be properly done by the club.
You mentioned there a certain Mr. Harry Kane, and I don't know if anybody saw this. I did actually, if anybody's a fan of Bullseye, I did put this out earlier. I don't know if it's not bringing it up, so just bear with. But I did actually put something out earlier. Why is nothing working on StreamYard these days? Let me. I mean, he has won so much. He says trying to talk until he can load the image. And Ian, do you think? Oh, here we go. Here we go. So say fans of Bullseye and a special message to Harry Kane. And there's a speedboat round the back as well. Look, I mean, we have had some good players, and you can't keep putting statues up, otherwise you end up looking like the Chinese soldiers, don't you, Ian? But we've got one there for the chairman. We haven't got one for Gordon Banks, and I think we should have. Do you see a statue? Or, I mean, I suggested earlier, and I think you were alluding to it, naming a stand after him.
How you mark Jamie Vardy's time at Leicester City, I guess, is ultimately what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember just before COVID hit, I've still got the plans and the drawings for a £2.5 million statue that was going to be made of 11 players, casting bronze in the city centre, yeah. And a genuine proper sculptor who has done loads and loads and loads, has wanted to do it. I spoke to the council about getting a place for a Claudio Ranieri statue, actually, and they gave us a spot and said, yeah, we're okay here. So it's something that the town would welcome. I'm not sure about the stadium for a statue, because I don't think, whilst these owners are the owners, I don't think there'll be another statue other than Kunvishai, the rest of Seoul, than at the stadium, whilst Kuntop's in charge, and that's no slight, but I think we all know why, and the fact that will be the only one. In the city, though, yeah, why not? Why not? Let's make a trail of them, like the little foxes they did around Foss Park that year, and we have little mini Mark Albrightons around that you go on a hunt and you go and find Riyad Mahrez, you go and find,
Let's get it going, guys. Let's get it going.
I don't know, but he's name a stand after him. Yeah, maybe. I don't. People have been talking about retiring the number 9 shirt as well, and I don't think now's the time for that. Personally, I think now's the time. So you have to see that someone's just asked the question about retiring the number 9. No, I don't think now's the time for that necessarily. I think we should all just appreciate what he achieved, who he was, where he came from, and that as well. Let's remember, he's the last of the 2016, the heroes of 2016. Mark Albrighton, of course, called time on his career, and when Jamie Vardy does this, that's it. They've gone, and the memories of that haven't gone, but the final player has. So I don't think a stand needs to be named after him. I think they should probably focus on selling stands to commercial partners to make money to avoid PSR problems, and not have to rely on a lawyer to dig you out of a court case.
Exactly.
I think his legend doesn't require anything naming after him or a shirt number being retired. Yeah. He's the greatest of all time.
Michael says there, good to see your strings. Trashant says there, should the jersey be retired, Locks? No. There's always two sides to every story, but Kevin comes back with Prashant, give it a rest. There's been far better players.
I mean,
I'll just sit back and let you go on this one. Go on, it's all yours, mate.
well, this isn't like the number 32 or something. It's the number 9. You know what I mean? You'd hope that we can get a number 9 in the future. There will be another number 9 who maybe won't live up to what Jamie Vardy did, but at least fill his shoes to a certain degree. We've struggled, for the last 10 years, pretty much, 6-7 years, to bring someone in and proper challenge Vards. But now we've got no choice. We're forced to do it. I don't think Daka is that guy, unfortunately. But talking about retire, maybe not retire the number 9. But I will say I can guarantee now there will be a lot of people not very happy if it is Daka or Ayew wearing that number 9 next season. I think we save it for a promising new striker coming into the club in the future.
Yeah, we don't have to retire it, like you say, just save it. I mean, Jack, look, Newcastle United, they've had some amazing number 9s down the years, but they've never retired that shirt. And then you get Birmingham retiring Jude Bellingham's shirt, wasn't it? when he was like 18. It does get a bit silly, doesn't it?
Yeah, the number 9's the main sort of squad number, isn't it? Let's be honest. I always said during Jamie Vardy's career and what he's achieved in football and how he's become the greatest ever Leicester City player and he's gave me so many great memories to think about. But yeah, the number 9 shirt, you're always going to be remembering of him. I know you look at Steve Howard, who were in many years ago, and then you got Emil Heskey, who were there as well. But Jamie Vardy's done a lot, Annie, in that number 9 shirt. There's a legacy been left in that number 9 shirt, and I don't think ever now there'll be another Jamie Vardy at Leicester. I know people talk about it, bringing another striker in and that, but I just don't think it. It just feels like you look at the likes of the Messis, Ronaldos, the players like that, and obviously I'm not referring to Jamie Vardy, but I just don't think you get another one of them players in these generations. You get what I mean? I think Jamie Vardy's one of a kind at Leicester City. And maybe we might not see another one in our generation, but in generations to come you will again. But yeah, it's an interesting one regarding retiring the shirt, but naming a stand after him could be something. But then, like Ian says, regarding a statue in that, in like the town city centre and that, it'd be good. But yeah, I think the stadium one is just going to be very much vicious, to be fair.
Ian, do you think now Jamie's gone, we're going to have the same problem that we had with Riyad Mahrez? Is that every right winger we got, it was always okay, he's all right, but he's no Riyad Mahrez. We've had this with, Kelechi Iheanacho to a point, and like say Daka. Yeah, they're not Jamie Vardy, are they? And it's taken us right up until Fatawu to sort of get past that Riyad Mahrez. Do you think we're going to have the same problem with Jamie Vardy?
I don't know. I don't, and I'll tell you why. I think Jamie Vardy has been the greatest player to ever play for Leicester City. I think Jamie Vardy will be the greatest player to ever play for Leicester City. There are 2 shirts behind me. One was the scorer of the FA Cup winning goal in 2021, signed by Yuri Tillemans, and one is a Leicester City number 9 signed by Jamie Vardy. So there's only 3 shirts in my dining room. The other one that's that way is a number 26, and it's signed by Riyad Mahrez. So it's a salient argument, right? However, I'll say this. I think he's been the best player, but also the biggest complication at the football club for the last few years as well. Because how heavy must the other shirt be of another striker of, an Iheanacho, a Daka, a Tom Cannon, an Islam Slimani, an Ahmed Musa? How heavy must that shirt be underneath Jamie, knowing as long as he's fit, I ain't got a chance of playing to the level that he plays. And as welcoming as Vards, I'm sure, has been, Vards is a cantankerous old sausage, I don't mind telling you. And that makes him, he is off the pitch while he is on the pitch. And that he can be a pain in the backside. And it makes him. But off the pitch, he's that as well. And that's going to be really difficult for another striker to beat that. You can't beat him down because of his stance at the football club, right? So, to get back to the essence of your question, when other players come in, now Vards isn't there. And I think it's really important, and I adore him. It's really important that he leaves, and he does leave, that he's not, hanging around at the club, because I think he needs to continue his career. Probably if LA Galaxy have got half a brain, then he'll go to the Hollywood story, which makes perfect sense to me. He's going to end up in the MLS. Let's all get it right. when he goes over there, if indeed he does, then that gives somebody that comes in a totally clean slate. Yes, there'll be his position in the dressing room. Yes, there'll be his position in the dressing room at the training ground. Yes, somebody will wear number 9, and everyone will bring it up. But ultimately, there's nobody above you. Vards has left the building, and I think that'll be really cathartic actually for the club, and I think it'll be cathartic for any striker to try. So to answer your question, I don't think people will watch and go, he's like not like Vards, because there isn't one.
Yeah.
Name me a striker in the Premier League now that's like Vards. There kind of isn't really. If you had to find one, probably Isak. He's very different aerially. He's strong, but he works hard. He runs channels well. He's quick. His finishing's superb. He's got really good feet. It's a similar kind of striker, I think. The closest you can get. They don't exist. So when another striker comes in, they are big boots to fill, but they're different boots, and those boots have been retired.
Good point. Locks, as Ian said there, a clean break probably is for the best. If you look at Man United and all the managers they've had in, I didn't realise that they'd had Alex Ferguson nipping down to the changing room at every half time and every full time. As a manager, that's a hell of a person to have looking over your shoulder. If it is a clean break, and I know a lot of people have said, if we sack Ruud van Nistelrooy, make him play a manager till the end of the season, or give him a coaching role, something like that. But Ian's made a very, very valid point in let's just have a total break, and maybe a future role down the road, and I'll come to you about that in a second, Jack. But that clean break, I think, is the right thing to do, isn't it, Locks?
Yeah, and it's obviously what's going to happen because he's confirmed he's not retiring, so he's definitely leaving the football club. As Ian said, the MLS makes the most sense. I can't see Jamie Vardy in Saudi Arabia, to be honest. Can't see that one happening. But yeah, I mean. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think with Vardy, I mean, as we've all said about, it's probably a good thing for both parties now. It's time for the football club, and with the understudies like Ian Atcher. I mean, you remember that FA Cup winning season, Ian Atcher, that second half, he was the top goal scorer in the whole of Europe, I think, and the first game of the next season, Vardy was back in the starting 11, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think Vardy, as long as he's here, as Ian said, will always be the guy. I mean, I think at one stage this season he played more minutes than any other season in his career, or something crazy like that at 38. And so yeah, I think it's time for the club to move on. Everyone's talking about a rebuild and things like that. The last of the title winners now will be gone, and the club have to look forward to the future.
Ian, I know you were tight for time, so just give us a shout out when you've got to go.
I shall. That's now.
Yeah, I'm going to work out. Sorry?
I said I shall, and that's in the next few minutes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, let me come to you with the question then, and hopefully I can. I've just my mind's gone blank, and we'll let you go after this question. But as Locke said, that is the last of the Premiership winning squad there. And look, we would all take any number of relegations to still have to have that. We wouldn't give that up for anything. But is that has it been like an albatross round our neck, if you like?
No, I'm really strong on this, and I disagree with a lot of people. And on social media, I try and keep my head down these days because I think I'm swimming against the tide a little bit. In that, people are citing other clubs' success, and why can't Leicester have been more like Brighton, or why can't Leicester have been more like Bournemouth? Okay. I'll give you Brighton's last 10 years for Leicester's. Do you want to swap?
Yeah.
No. Do you want to swap Bournemouth's last 10 years for Leicester's? No. Tell you what, you give up the Premier League win in 2016, but I'll give you 12th in the Premier League for the next 4 seasons. Do you want to take it? Didn't think so. I'll give you 6th in the Premier League for 1 season and take off the FA Cup. You're going to do that? No. So my view is pretty strong on this. It's not an albatross around anybody's neck. It's the greatest day of our lives. I've got 3 kids, and I'd go back to the day we lifted that Premier League trophy as if I had a time machine first, because none of us expected it. None of us. It was never going to happen. It's the greatest sports story ever. And could they have invested better? Yes. But let's be right. They got Jamie Vardy for £1 million, Riyad for 450 grand, N'Golo for 5 million, Danny Drinkwater for 1 million, Casper for 1 million, Wes Morgan for 1 million, Danny Simpson for not a great deal. yeah, they've signed a few turkeys, but they've had some good ones as well. It's give and take. So, no, winning the good, was it at the Albatross? No. My God. I'm looking at a picture of Vicky Park on my wall behind the camera, and there's 200,000 people, and you all know where you were, and you all know what you were doing, and it was an incredible day, and we wouldn't swap it for anything. So, no. Long live the memories, I say, because if you can't live on those, honestly, I couldn't care less if Leicester get relegated.
Yeah.
I couldn't. And maybe that season's just me peaked. But I always describe it like this. If you've won the Euro Millions, do you care if you win 50 grand on a scratch card? No. And that's what the Premier League win was. Staying in the Premier League's winning a scratch card. So what? Palace finish 11th every season. Well done. No, I'd much rather take the peaks and troughs. Seeing that glistening Premier League trophy lifted in 2016, seeing Yuri drill a 25-yarder in the top bin to win the FA Cup, quarterfinals of the Champions League, Community Shield, or be Brighton, nah, I'm all right.
100%. And I can hear the passion in your voice still. Ian, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I know
Thanks for the invite.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. You look after yourself.
Chaps.
Take care.
Take it easy. Thanks, boys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye. Nice to see Strings again, wasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen him for years.
I know.
In a while.
But let me ask you this, Len, Jack. And sorry about that. Locks. I know you've got it.
It's all right.
You let me know.
Yeah, I've got another 10 minutes, mate. 10 minutes. It's all good.
That was brilliant. The question there, Robert says, I said earlier on blue tinted glasses, most of you were calling for his head. Now you're saying he will score wherever he goes. We will miss him next season when we have Daka every week. Look, let's say he goes to the MLS, or even let's say he goes to Saudi Arabia, Jack. If he doesn't score goals there, there's something wrong with him. You could go like when you're 45 and still, in fairness, score goals there, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think every player that's gone to the Saudi Arabian league scored goals, isn't it? I think they get like fans. Is it like 500 fans or whatever it is in some of the stadiums? Jordan Henderson said. Yeah, it's different leagues, and it's different styles of football. Some are slower than others, some are quicker. I mean, you look at the Premier League compared to the Serie A, the Premier League's a lot more quicker, a lot more observed, This is it, Jamie Vardy's going to be playing in a different league next season, let's be honest, whether it's with Championship or the MLS or Saudi Arabia, he's going to get stuck in quite quickly, isn't he? Because that's what he is. He likes to get going from the off, and that's the player he has always been. He likes to challenge himself, and this is a good challenge for him to have now. He's not retiring. He's still got more goals in him, like he says, so he's going to go there and prove to people that he isn't what people think he is, that he should have retired at the end of the Championship season. He's going to go and prove, I've still got it in me, and I'll go and do that in another league against other teams. I'll still prove I'm the best in my ability, and good luck to him. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see actually who he does go to next season for sure.
The Wrexham one, Locks, is an interesting one, because if he signs for Wrexham, he could be lining up against us, and if that happens, you just know he's going to score, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ian said about the Hollywood story, LA Galaxy. Well, Wrexham now are the Hollywood story of the EFL. Yeah. So I just wanted to quickly reference Robert's comment, though, Chris. I mean, he did say this on BTG earlier as well. Like, when you've got a dog that needs putting down, I'm not saying that's what Vardy is, but I'm saying when a dog gets put down.
You're not talking about his good lady, are you? Allegedly, lawyers.
No, I'm saying that you still love the dog, but it's for the best, and that's what I'm saying. Vardy would score goals in the MLS. Vardy would score goals in the Championship, but I think it's time for us to move on. I think it's the best thing for him. It's the best thing for the football club. Well, maybe not the best thing for him, because he'd be on probably 100 grand a week still at Leicester. But it's the best thing for us for sure. Clearly, Rudkin and Top. I think if Vardy was offered a new deal, he would stay. Personally, that's what I believe. I think Rudkin and Top have actually decided to end. I think it's been a mutual decision. That's my opinion. That's what I take for it. And if that is the case, then I commend them for that, because I think it is time to start looking for the future for all the reasons that we just mentioned about how it, any striker that comes into the football club is always the understudy to Vards and always will be. And I think it's important now. The hardest part is going to be replacing him, and we're never going to replace him to that level, but we need to at least find a number 9 or a striker, should I say, to come in and score some goals, because Daka isn't it. Jordan Ayew isn't it? Odson Edouard's going back. Tom Cannon's gone.
Don't forget Dakota Reed.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I think just because we've said all season that Vards isn't the player he used to be, and that we might be better off we might be better off looking elsewhere, that doesn't mean we don't love him. Of course we do. No, of course we do. No. And it's still a sub day. So, yeah. I
mean, Jack, that's a good point there that Locke's made, that we do love him, and it's sad to see, like you said, we're sad to see him do this. I mean, I thought this season that maybe Cannon, because he was the youngster, would come through, and we don't know because he never got a chance. And people say, well, he's not doing it for Sheffield United. Well, we're not Sheffield United. We don't know whether he's going to do it. We never saw that. And I saw Vardy as being the super sub, coming on when the opposition's defence is knackered after 70, 75 minutes, and then oh shit, Jamie Vardy's coming on. Maybe if that had been the way he was used, we'd be looking at a different season. But because of the mishandling of the players' contracts and situations and who we brought in, etc., it wasn't to be like that. Do you think he would have stopped if he'd been offered another contract?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's so much love there, isn't there, between Vardy and Leicester. That relationship is as good as you're going to get. Do you get what I mean? He loves us to bits, of course he does, but it's how you end that relationship is the hardest part. And the club have obviously got to have a massive reset, aren't they? They know that they've got to change a lot of things quite quickly with the new season coming in the Championship, because they know things haven't gone right. You look at Daka's career at Leicester, 4 goals against Spartak Moscow, and that's probably the best achievement he's ever had. It just hasn't worked out for Daka as much as he'd like. Tom Cannon, I don't know, he probably would have done all right in the Championship, but then in the Premier League, I probably wouldn't have even worked. But then Edouard, he's not even really had a sniff this season. We've had so many players come in, and Leicester have relied on Jamie Vardy for so many years because we just haven't had the players good enough to come in and do what he does. And maybe that's what they'd hope for, that, Daka would come in and do what Jamie Vardy's doing, but he hasn't because they're 2 different players in general. But, yeah, this is it. Strikers can come in now and sort of take the weight off the shoulders and think, this is where I need to impress. This is where I want to go in my career to the top. And they've got a chance to do that now, haven't they? Without Jamie Vardy being there.
And when you look at that picture, Locks, all right, let me put the proper one up. There we go. And I'm sure I'm going to get hassle off Spurs fans on X and all over about it. I don't care, to be honest with you. What has Harry Kane won and what age he started at? And look what Jamie Vardy has won and how late he started his, if you like, no disrespect to Fleetwood, but his series career, if you like, at the top level. That's a hell of a collection, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about, Chris. Harry Kane's won the highly reputable Audi Cup.
I forgot! Oh, God, I forgot that. I need you, Locks. And where are you when I need you?
Look, Premier League, Community Shield, 2 championships, FA Cup, Golden Boot, 4, if I'm not, I think it's 4 Premier League Player of the Months, the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year. It's crazy. It's actually ridiculous how much he's won. And, whether there's a player or a striker as good as Vardy ever again for Leicester, who knows, there might be. I can tell you one thing, there will not be a striker that stuck around for 13 years and won all of them trophies on the screen. That will never happen again. Ever. You say our lifetime, ever. Never, ever again. So for that, that is, like I said, that's why he's the GOAT. It's not even just on the talent or the ability. It's on a lot more than that. And the biggest trophy right there, the biggest trophy, which you can't see on screen, is the I suppose, the bond between himself and the club and the city and all of that. He will always, he is Mr. Leicester City. In my opinion, he is Mr. Leicester City, and I don't think anyone will ever top him in that position.
Mr. Leicester City, Jack, do you think he would call? I mean, we're going to eventually need a replacement for Alan Birchnell as well. But let's be honest with you, these players now, no disrespect to Alan Birchnell, they earn a lot more money. That means he can run off into the sunset and never have to work again. But surely there's got to be some sort of ambassadorial role for him.
Yeah, someone was on about director of football. I said he'd take no messing about. And then someone was on about manager, and I turned around and said to him, I said, I'm not being funny, but managers, you never want to manage your club that you've succeeded in. You look at Lampard, what he did at Chelsea, it didn't work out. And you don't want Jamie Vardy to be that man where he'd manage Leicester one day and then it'd all of a sudden fail and it'd fall off a cliff. Do you get what I mean? You want to be leaving Leicester City with your head held high and people remembering you for the right reasons, not because you had a shit manager career, but because you went back there. And this is the big thing now with Vard. He's won so much collectively there. If you would have said that to him, Chris, in 2012 when signing for the club, that's what you're going to win, he'd have probably thought, he'd probably have laughed or something like that. But he's ambitious, he's hungry, and some of the records that he's broken as well, the 11-11, the Premier League 100 club, the most goals after the age of 30 in the Premier League as well, beating Ian Wright to it and that. So he's achieved so many accolades, and he could sit there on a nice beach with his feet up, with a nice cocktail, and just reminisce of what he's achieved and look back on his career with a big smile on his face.
I do wonder now that he's leaving Leicester City, I do wonder now how much my tattoo is worth.
You know what, Chris? That's not even the best one, though, is it? His Facebook post. I think the best one was "Loving life, getting paid, getting laid." That was one of his as well on Facebook that he put out. But it's incredible. Yeah, everything. This is why I keep saying the personality and the character. So many moments. I don't know do you remember the video of him talking about Vasilevsky? Have you seen that video before? It's like I think he's watching the Football League show. Vardy is, and Vasilevsky fully goes in on a player, elbows him, and Vardy's there recording himself, calling it bloody GBH. So it's everything about him, man. Is there's so many memories.
It is. Just to quickly then sort of start to round up now. Look, 11-11, as you mentioned, Jack. Let's come to you first. I mean, he has scored so many great goals. But that 11-11. A fact that a Leicester City player has done that, if it was an Arsenal player, or maybe not Arsenal this season, but, a Liverpool player or a Man United, Man City, but it will at some point, I'm sure, been beaten. For me, I'm often asked sort of what's my favourite ever Vardy goal. And for me, I mean, there are so many, but the one that's shown there, absolutely... one look, he knew where the goalkeeper was going to be because he knew that before the game started. He just literally, he didn't even touch the ground. That's my favourite. Guys, I'll come to you at one each. Locks, first of all, do you have a favourite Vardy goal?
Mine would probably be, oh God. I'm going to go with... I don't know. I've got two. Can I give you two?
Yeah,
I've got two.
Give me two, definitely.
The West Brom one, he scored a few against West Brom, but the Mahrez over the top, and it just drops over Vardy's shoulder and volleys it into the back of the net. I think that's actually one of his best, probably alongside the Liverpool one. My other favourite, my second favourite is probably... you know what? I'll give it Liverpool. I'll give them two. I said they're the two best ones, so I'll say them two, mate. Yeah. There's so many to choose from. This is the problem. He scored, what is it, 198, is it?
He scored 198, yes.
Yeah.
Go on, Jack. You're going to get 198 down to one.
Fucking hell. Do you know what? One of my favourite goals for Vardy, has got to be the Great Escape game, the one against West Brom, where he scores in the 90 odd minute, to win us the game. And it was absolute pandemonium in the away end to actually be there and witness what he did. And like I say, he scored many great goals over the years, and you can't really pick one, can you? I mean, the Liverpool one was just phenomenal to get out from there. And he even talks about that goal to be one of his best of all time. And the Man United one.
The chip against Bournemouth as well. That was a good one.
Oh, the one against Aaron Ramsdale from distance.
Yeah. That was quality. Yeah.
Do you know what, though? He's the only player to score 2 hat-tricks against the Pep Guardiola side to date.
Wow. We need to get out more, guys, don't we?
Chris, did you see? I know he's a knob, but Adrian Durham. Did you see what he tweeted today as well?
I haven't yet. I've got a very good agreement with TalkSport. Tweeted. Sorry, I thought you meant on the show. No, he's a knob. What's he tweeted?
He tweeted. He tweeted that he's only ever given 2 players a 10 out of 10 rating in a match. The one was a messy performance against, I can't remember what team it was, and the second was that Vardy, what Jack said, the West Brom Great Escape. That performance, Vardy against them, he gave him a 10 out of 10. So that's what he said, which was kind of Adrian Durham.
I'm going to say, now I've called him a knob. He goes and does that. Cheers, Adrian. Thanks very much. Look, he did this 11 in 11. We've mentioned it. How many of those goals did you see, Locks?
Out of what? Oh, the 11 in 11. What? Which of the? How many of them did I see live with my own eyes?
Yes.
Only 3, mate. Only 3 of them. Three. And I'll tell you where I was actually I was at the game as well, which would have been his 12th, Swansea away. And he didn't manage to get the 12th. I think was it Mara's got a hat trick. I think that game actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would have been nice. 12 to go ahead even further than Van Nistelrooy. But yeah, in that run again, so many good ones. I know there's a couple penalties in there. Obviously, you had the Man United one to break the record, but do you remember the Newcastle one? It was kind of like Fat Ronaldo, original Ronaldo, where he kind of cuts in and puts it into the back post. It was quality. So many good goals.
I think one of them, was it not? Did he get a penalty against Bournemouth? Wasn't that one of the 11? And I was actually, because I lived down in Bournemouth, I'd got a ticket that was in the Bournemouth end behind that goal. And I can remember, I've still got it saved somewhere, that as he scores and then obviously runs over towards the Leicester fans, I'm sat behind the goal and I am literally, the camera goes past and I'm sat there like that. Because I daren't celebrate because I'm surrounded by sort of Bournemouth fans and a couple of them are like bloody bouncers, so I wasn't going to risk it. I mean, which ones do you remember, Jack?
I've seen them all. I'm underway. I tell you what, you remember the Southampton game that season, the 2-2, when he'd scored in that one. I mean, that was phenomenal second off by Leicester. Yeah. I mean, I think even Virgil van Dijk scored for Southampton in that game. It took him about 3 shots on bloody goal that I think he hit the post for one of them. But, then he scored against Watford, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, as you've said, Newcastle away, which to get on to turning in and then inside again to then get it in the corner was just incredible. And that was the one where he equalled Van Nistelrooy's record, wasn't it? 10 in 10. So the thing is, though, you're never going to get a partnership of Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez again. That partnership's elite. And Riyad Mahrez was there today, commented away, because there's so much love between them two. It's unreal. And if you could have them two back, I think you would for one last dance. But it's I'd love to have a one game off, like Bournemouth away last game of the season, Vardy and Mahrez for just one game.
Testimonial. It could happen.
Yeah,
testimonial.
Yeah. Get Hoofy and Morgan back in defence and all, and Vacileski. I'd take that.
I tell you what, though, because obviously years ago the testimonials were because the players didn't earn much. These days they don't need it, but they can do one for charity and do it to sort of Loris or a local charity.
Oh, the Rebecca Vardy charity as well. Legal fees.
What, solicitors co? It's funny, isn't it? It's ironic that we have a manager that scored 10 in 10, a striker that scored 11 in 11, and we can hardly really score a goal this season. That's irony for you, isn't it? I mean, look, that's a classic shot of him getting in the referee's face. Who can't remember that blue plaster cast on his arms? Like you say, he's won a lot of, golden. Well, he won a golden boot, didn't he? Lots of players of the month. Somebody said earlier it's going to be boring without him next season. And Locks, same question to both of you, but I'll come to you first, Locks. The shithousery that he does. I mean, he takes some stick. And I think that the FA trying to cut down on this is absolutely pathetic. They're trying to drain all the fun out of it. I mean, would they sooner have, if the opposition fans are having a go at you, do they want a Eric Cantona style kung fu kick, or do they want Jamie Vardy sort of doing an eagle or something? I mean, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what do they call it? Utter woke nonsense, I think they say. Trying to get rid of that. Look, this is the thing. He gets shit all game long, and if he scores a goal, he should be able to go over and give them it back. And Vardy loves that. That was a big part of his game as well. That's a big part of Jamie Vardy's game. He would have hated it in lockdown, as we all did, but him especially. When he scores a goal, I think he actually did it once. I think he went over to a camera and just shushed the camera because he couldn't shush the fans. So it's a big part of his game. There is no one like it. There's been some crazy shithouses over the years. I mean, Neil Maupay, he tries his best, but he's no Jamie Vardy, and there's not enough of those types of players anymore, mate. I mean, you've seen Haaland. Haaland's given it a go recently, kind of causing a bit of a stir with Mikel Arteta and things like that, but it just doesn't feel the same. Vardy is he's one in a million.
It's going to be boring without him, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it brings a lot more excitement when games are boring, let's be honest. The guy always knows how to ruffle them feathers. You talk about Diego Costa, with his bloody shithousery. I don't think he even comes close to Vardy, let's be fair. That Eagle celebration against Crystal Palace is what Jamie Vardy will be remembered for. But like Vardy always says, Chris, if the fans can give it, they can take it back. And, that's what they've got to learn. If you can say things to him and whatever, and if he does something back to you, you've got to accept it. It's no good crying about it, even though you started picking a fight with him, because this is the person he is. They asked him in an interview the other week, they said, do you think about what you want to do in these games when you score against City? He said, no, I just do what I feel at the heat of the moment when I score. So he said it's always nice to score, though. And I think they're on about a Tottenham game with him, and he said that was nice because they was giving it to him all game as well, and then it was nice to point the actual symbol on the arm to them. And I think the one Locks was on about was the shushing one. I think it was West Brom away in lockdown, where he'd actually scored against West Brom, and then he ran up to the camera and started giving it to the West Brom fans so they could watch it on the telly.
One question left each, and then I'll let you go. Locks, how important in his legacy, and sort of, I know I played a clip recently from Talk Sport because they do allow me to use their clips. And Simon Jordan, who's another Adrian Durham, of course, saying we only put this thing out because of this, and he's only trying to lick the fans' arses and what have you. But the fact that he didn't go to Arsenal, and the fact that he turned them down, and yes, obviously thought about it, of course you would do, but that's what made him a hero to us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's loyalty. There's no loyalty in football anymore. And there's that famous quote that always does the rounds where he says something like, leave Leicester. Why would I do that? They believed in me when nobody else did. And I think that's why he stayed, to repay the faith. He wanted to stay at Leicester. He was smart as well. Not all of them, because you have seen some of the players like Kante and Mahrez leave and go and become first-team players. But look at Drinkwater, for example. Look what happened to his career. I'm not saying that would have definitely happened to Vardy, but Jamie Vardy back then, when he was all about the pace and running in behind, in an Arsenal team, maybe he had a good head on his shoulders and thought that won't suit me, and he stuck at Leicester and His game developed as the years went on. As he lost the pace, and Brendan Rodgers, by the way, played a big part in his development in the later years, kind of changing the way he played to be more of a fox in the box rather than a running behind. But the loyalty shown is what puts him above the Mahrez, the Kantés, the Drinkwaters. I mean, if you talk on talent, I love Wesley Fofana when he played for us. I think he was one of the best defenders that we've ever had in terms of ability. But he's a snake. He's a rat. And that's one thing Jamie Vardy is and, never will be, ever.
I think what you got right there was he called it right, because I think he'd have ended out on the wing at Arsenal. I don't think he'd have played to his strengths. Last one for you, Jack. This has got to be done at the Ipswich game, hasn't it? Have a minute's applause on the 9th minute.
Yeah, I think that'd be a very fitting for him. Do you know what I mean?
And Vardy mask. Let's get the Vardy mask back. Get everybody.
We ain't had them since is it a long time since we've had them bloody Vardy masks?
Oh, here we go. He's got it.
We've got the Vardy crisp as well from the 15-16 season. Yeah. So they've got to
be banned for a game, and it was the owners that didn't want him to be banned or something, and so they gave everybody a Vardy mask in protest.
Yeah, that was it himself.
Moss game, where when you obviously showed him swearing at the ref.
Yes.
That was when John Moss sent him off against West Ham for a dive.
Yes.
Yellow. Yeah. So then the next couple games, it was then where the masks came out, and he was in his box as well wearing a mask. So that was good.
Yeah. But we've got to do that, haven't we, guys?
Yeah.
Good idea. I can't get to the game. You guys are going to have to do it for us. Get it started. Let's get it.
I need to quickly shoot, Chris, by the way. Sorry, I need to quickly get over. So, sorry, mate.
Locks, where can people find you?
Blue Tinted Glasses. Yeah, of course. Blue Tinted Glasses. Yeah, just lots of stuff, watch-alongs, match reviews, things like that. Yeah.
Brilliant, Locks. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, Jack. See you in a bit, Jack.
See you later.
And then there was 2, Jack.
I know.
Then there was just you and me. I mean, that's something that look, we've been very critical, and I know I have been very critical of Jamie Vardy, but that's because he's got such high standards, and he's set such high standards over the year. Doesn't mean that we don't love him. And what I want to remember Jamie Vardy as the guy that won us the Premier League. I mean, he's given me and my son, who was a Leicester fan, when we've been to the matches, that goal he scored against Man United when we first came up to the Premier League, and that kind of obviously, kick-started his Premier League career. Just moments like that, and that's what I want to remember him. I don't want to remember him trudging off the pitch as we got relegated because we lost to Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm the same. You want to remember him for all the good times and all the, he gave us the best memories in supporting Leicester City. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
This is Jamie Vardy. You don't want to remember him for this season.
No.
Just wipe away this season. Just forget about this season with Jamie Vardy. I know he scored 7 goals, but you want to remember him for the Championship last year, and then the years before that, and scoring all these goals and shithousing all these opposition fans and that, and doing what he does best, And this is Jamie Vardy will go out, was one of the greatest ever Leicester City players. Well, I'd say the greatest. And, even look at the Premier League fans today. They've wished him well and that. They've said he's one of the greatest ever Premier League players of all time. And there was even referring him with Didier Drogba, weren't there, where they did a poll. I think it was TalkSport or whatever it was that did it. But, Jamie Vardy, he's remembered. He's like a streets won't forget player. He's one of the Barclays men players. And it just shows how much he's achieved. And if people look at him, he's like, but if he'd played for Liverpool, Chris, or Man City or someone like that, he'd get more bigger praise. Because he's playing for a team like Leicester and he's achieved it with Leicester, it's an all even bigger achievement.
Yes, it is. But he's one of those that, you could imagine having a pint with him down the pub, couldn't you?
And you talk about everything back with him, remember when you did this, when we did that, and he'd chat with you. I think that's the kind of guy he is.
Yes, yeah. And I think, look, we're going to come to the end now. We have criticised him this year, but we wish him all the best. And we didn't do anything like this when we had Mahrez left. Yes, we did shows about him going, but not with the feeling and the love that we've got for this guy. I think that's the difference with shows like this. And I'm sure everybody else is going to be doing other shows like this as well, and he deserves it. Jack, thank you so very much for coming on. Where can people find you?
Go and find us at the Final Whistle. We have got a Jamie Vardy chat thing on the channel at the minute where I chatted about Jamie Vardy's career earlier today. So yeah, go and check that out. We reminisced on all Jamie Vardy's best moments and that, and yeah, it'd be good to chat. But yeah, go and find us at the Final Whistle. We do match day vlogs, previews, everything related to Leicester City, like the man himself here does, Chris. And yeah, all these Leicester content creators do a great job following the club and that. And like I say, we might get a bit more positivity coming through ahead of next season. But yeah, let's hope this can kick on now and give Jamie Vardy the best ever send-off we can give him for his 13 years of service at the football club.
Exactly. Jack, all the best, mate. Have a great weekend. Let's hope we can get 3 points against Wolves. Doubt it.
Jamie Vardy double, Chris. What do you reckon?
I want to do that against Ipswich on the last day. On Ipswich. If you're, like I said earlier, if Ipswich are down anyway, what have they got to lose? Come on.
I'll be honest with you, though. A friend of mine messaged me a stat earlier, and he said to me, Jamie Vardy signed on the 18th of May, 2012. Leicester City play Ipswich on the 18th of May, 2025, which will mark 13 years of Jamie Vardy.
Wow.
And if he scores against Ipswich and gets them 2 goals that he's needing for 200, what a send-off. What a finish to his career.
Yeah, what a finish. And thanks to Ian Stringer as well. Wasn't it great to see him again? Yeah,
it's good to have him on. Obviously, Ian's got a lot of good knowledge regarding Leicester. Obviously,
he hasn't
a lot doing the club and that. But yeah, a lot of good times.
Yeah, brilliant, Jack. All the best, mate. We'll
Chris.
see you soon, I'm sure. Take care, buddy. Cheers. So let me just get into position. There we go. Yeah, look. We're going to be back in about, I would say, 28 minutes. Because we're going to be doing the prediction show. I don't know the rest of this season. The rest of this season's going to be... It's going to have a funny feeling about it, isn't it? Look, thanks very much, guys. We love you, Jamie. Thank you for everything we've done. Let's just catch up with a few. If you haven't already, people, click the subscribe button, help Chris grow the channel. Thank you very much, Scott. Hope you are well, sir. Andreas, spot on, Chris. Thank you. Turbo, I've never criticised Vardy. I have, and I'm not going to deny that I have. You praise people when they play well. You criticise them when they don't. Craig says thank you. Like, all, and share. Ray says thank you. Turbovate, I think we all agree with that one. Turbovate, yep. Rico is in. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Ollie, the greatest. I have still got this bloody cough. I've still not seen my granddaughter yet. Cheers, Chris, and a lot of emojis there. I will see you all in it's now 27 minutes. Take care, guys. Thanks very much for joining. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new, click that notification bell, and if you've been listening via your favourite podcast platform, which I know some of you do, thank you very, very much for lending me your ears. Good night. See you in a bit.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.